Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tassawanos, here to bring you the latest and greatest in the sports world. Today's topic is going to be baseball, with spring training officially beginning since all teams have had their pitchers and catchers report and spring training games finally began this week. We're going to be bringing you the latest of what happened in the MLB offseason as well as what to expect for the season ahead. So, this MLB offseason was one of the slowest it's been in the last several years. Most of the all-stars that are in the league really didn't go anywhere. It took them a long time for them to finally figure out contracts, but this week it finally picked up. JD Martinez just signed a 5-year deal worth $110 million with the Boston Red Sox. After his first 2 years, he is eligible to opt out of his contract. Yu Darvish also signed a 6-year, $126 million contract with the Chicago Cubs. And Eric Hosmer signed an 8-year, $144 million contract with the Padres, which to me is a little shocking because the Padres are trying to rebuild, and they already have Will Myers at first base, who's been unbelievable for them since they acquired him in a trade in 2013 from the Rays. But it's an all-star player that they need to boost their franchise. They've been a very slow-going team for the last, 10 years. Haven't really had a winning mentality in a long time, so they just need anything they can get to finally get their fan base excited about something. But Yu Darvish, great signing for the Cubs. All it does is booster their rotation, even though Arrieta is still a free agent right now and nobody knows where he's going to go. He becomes the solidified number 2 guy behind John Lester, who's obviously going to be the number 1. They've got Kyle Hendricks, who had a great last couple years in the league. And so it's a team that they're just really reboostering their rotation so that way they can make another push for the World Series like they did back in 2016. And JD Martinez, obviously for the Red Sox, is a huge signing. They really need power in their lineup. They were one of the last teams in the major leagues in home runs. So all it does is just boosters their power. Granted, his defense isn't that great, but luckily they have players like Andrew Benintendi, Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley Jr. So all JD Martinez is going to have to do is play the DH and just hit bombs over the green monster. That's all they're going to need from him this year, so they can honestly make a great push and fight with the Yankees for the top of the AL East. So speaking of which, all of these free agents now, with all these new free agent signings, there's still some players out there that are all-star caliber players, which is why the MLB Players Association decided to open a spring training for these free agents. So some players you'll see most likely in the spring training unless they get signed within the next couple weeks. You've got Jake Arrieta, who's an all-star pitcher. Last season was a little bit of a down year for him. He had a 3.53 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP, and a 14-10 record. Granted, these are great stats still for an average pitcher, even though he is an above-average pitcher in this league. But over the last several years, we expect more from him. He usually posts a sub 3.25 ERA, has usually around a 1.01 WHIP, and usually his record's a lot better. But the Cubs team was kind of had a World Series hangover, and it kind of showed in Jake Arrieta's stats this year. Another player to see is Mike Moustakas, who had a breakout year. He hit 272. He had a career high in home runs with 38 and had a career high in RBIs with 85. I'm still shocked he's not signed. There are definitely teams that could use a third baseman or even a DH, just some power in their lineup. Like, for instance, the Giants could probably use him even though they just got Evan Longoria. I know Moustakas could move around. I'm pretty sure he can play the outfield, which is something that the Giants need anyways. But it just stinks that this all-star caliber player is still a free agent in this market where power is definitely needed, and with the juice ball, he could probably hit more than 38 home runs next season. But for now, he's going to be traveling probably to the spring training for free agents. Another player you'll probably see is Greg Holland, who had a bounce-back year last year with the Colorado Rockies. He led the NL with saves with 41 and had 70 strikeouts. He looked like his old form back in 2013, 2014 when the Royals were on a World Series tear for a few years. Granted, he was injured, and so it was great to see him finally bounce back from this injury. Lastly, let's look ahead at the World Series favorites. As of now, you've got the Yankees leading with the Vegas odds to win the World Series. With Stanton and Judge there, how can you argue that this team is obviously going to be one of the best teams in Major League Baseball? They have a great outfield, powerful lineup, but the question remains, can their pitching hold up with Severino having a breakout year, but now with Tanaka and Sabathia not doing so hot, very inconsistent? It'll be interesting to see how the Yankees pull it off, but they're a force to be reckoned with in Major League Baseball this year. which is why it makes so much sense for them to be the World Series favorites as of today.